What happens when Hollywood's most beloved host sits down with royalty's most controversial exile? You won't believe what unfolds when Prince Harry steps onto Drew Barrymore's stage, expecting a friendly conversation about his latest memoir, only to be met with the toughest questions of his life. Every explosive moment was captured on camera, turning what began as a seemingly harmless chat into one of the most shocking confrontations in daytime television history. The atmosphere in Studio 6B was electric. Drew Barrymore's team was putting the finishing touches on what was meant to be a lighthearted promotional appearance. Prince Harry arrived early, flanked by his security detail, moving through the backstage corridors with ease. The Duke of Sussex seemed relaxed, joking with the makeup artist and complimenting the craft services spread. But within an hour, this very studio would become the epicenter of a media firestorm that dominated headlines for weeks. Drew herself was unusually focused that morning. Her normally bubbly demeanor had been replaced by an intensity that longtime crew members hadn't seen since her transition from child star to serious actress. She spent extra time in her dressing room, reviewing notes and making last-minute adjustments to her question cards. Sources later revealed that she had been deeply affected by recent revelations about the royal family and was determined to confront them head-on, regardless of the consequences. As the show's theme music began, the audience settled into their seats. Drew emerged with her trademark smile, but her eyes told a different story. The energy in the studio was charged, almost predatory, as she delivered her opening monologue with more edge than usual. She teased the upcoming segment with Prince Harry, but her words hinted that this wouldn't be the typical soft interview the audience expected. Prince Harry entered to thunderous applause, immediately showing his charm as he waved to the crowd and embraced Drew warmly. He looked confident and at ease, settling into the guest chair like a man who had navigated countless media appearances. His publicist, watching from the wings, seemed satisfied, unaware of the ambush about to unfold. The conversation began innocuously enough, with Drew asking about Harry's recent projects and his life in California. The prince responded smoothly, sharing well-rehearsed anecdotes about family and charitable work. The audience laughed at his jokes, and for the first 10 minutes, it seemed like any other celebrity interview. But those watching closely noticed a shift. Drew's smile became fixed, her body language tense, and her questions increasingly pointed. The first crack in the facade came when Drew brought up Harry's upcoming documentary on mental health awareness. What should have been a safe topic quickly became a minefield. She pressed him on his family's approach to mental health. "It's interesting, Harry," she said, her voice sharper now, "that you advocate for mental health awareness while putting your own family through very public emotional trauma. How do you reconcile that contradiction?" The question hung in the air like a live grenade. Harry's smile faltered for a brief moment before he attempted a diplomatic answer about speaking one's truth. But Drew leaned in, eyes locked on his, and the audience felt the shift in energy. "Speaking your truth," Drew repeated, skepticism dripping from her voice. "Whose truth are we talking about? Because from where I'm sitting, it seems very selective, choosing which truths to share and which to conveniently omit." The audience murmured, sensing the tension. Harry's jaw tightened, his media training kicking in as he tried to steer the conversation back to safer ground. "Drew, I think there might be some misunderstanding about my intentions," he began. But she cut him off with a dismissive, commanding gesture. "Oh, I understand perfectly," she said. "I understand that you've built a brand around being the victim while systematically damaging the reputations of those who can't defend themselves. I understand that you've made millions exploiting your family's pain while claiming to protect them." The studio was completely silent. Even the crew had stopped to watch. Harry's face paled, hands clenched in his lap as he struggled to stay composed. "I think you're being unfair," he said, his voice tight with controlled anger. "Everything I've done has been to protect my family and to ensure the truth comes out about the toxic environment we endured." Even as Harry spoke, it was clear that Drew's relentless questioning had shaken him in a way few interviewers ever had. But she wasn't finished. She pulled a stack of papers from beside her chair, documents later revealed to be transcripts and leaked communications that painted a very different picture of Harry's motivations than the one he had been presenting to the public. "Protection," she said, waving the papers. "Is that what you call it when you secretly record private family conversations? When you leak sensitive information to tabloids while publicly condemning the same media outlets. The accusations hit like lightning. Harry's carefully constructed public image began to crumble in real time. His publicist frantically gestured from the wings, signaling for a commercial break. But Drew was in full attack mode, leaving no room for escape. The audience sat on the edge of their seats, many capturing what was clearly becoming a historic moment in television. Harry seemed frozen, caught between his instinct to flee and his royal training demanding composure under pressure. What happened next would be replayed millions of times online, but nothing could convey the raw intensity of being in that studio as Drew systematically dismantled one of the world's most famous men. A carefully orchestrated promotional appearance had become a public reckoning, and everyone present knew they were witnessing a defining moment. The silence stretched until Harry finally spoke, but the calm, diplomatic tone was gone. "You don't know what you're talking about," he said, his voice low, edged with danger. "You're making accusations based on tabloid gossip and fabricated documents. I came here in good faith, expecting a respectful conversation." His eyes blazed, the mask of royal composure had slipped, revealing raw anger. Drew laughed, a cold, calculated sound that sent shivers through the audience. Good faith. That's rich, coming from someone who's made a career out of betraying those who trusted him most. And these aren't tabloid fabrications, Harry. These are internal communications from your own legal team, leaked by someone tired of watching you destroy innocent lives. She held up a document like a weapon. "This is an email from your attorney discussing how to maximize media impact while minimizing legal liability. Does that sound like good faith to you?" The accusation hit him like a physical blow. Shock, rage, and panic flickered across his face. His hands shook, beads of sweat forming on his forehead despite the studio's air conditioning. "Those are privileged communications," he stammered. "If what you're saying is true, someone has committed a serious crime by leaking them." "Oh, now you care about crimes!" Drew snapped, contempt dripping from her voice. "Interesting, considering the recording devices you've been carrying into private family meetings. Considering the leaks you orchestrated while playing the victim card. You want to talk about crimes. Let's talk about the systematic character assassination you've conducted against your own father and stepmother." Gasps and murmurs erupted from the audience. Phones were raised, recording the confrontation. Harry's security moved closer, unsure whether to intervene. He looked cornered, eyes darting between Drew and the exit, calculating his options. "You have no right to make these accusations," he said, his voice rising to match hers. "You don't understand the complexity of the situation or the years of abuse and manipulation we endured." Drew stood, towering over the seated prince, her intensity both theatrical and genuinely menacing. "Abuse, manipulation. You mean like the abuse you've subjected your brother to by revealing his private struggles with addiction? Like the manipulation you used to turn public opinion against people who can't defend themselves without seeming petty? You've weaponized your trauma, Harry, and turned it into a business model." The words landed with devastating precision. Whatever composure Harry had left shattered instantly. He shot to his feet, his chair skidding backward as he stood toe-to-toe with her, fury burning in his eyes. "How dare you?" he snarled, barely holding himself in check. "You have no idea what it's like to live in that family. To have every move scrutinized, every breath judged. You have no idea what it's like to watch your wife be driven to the edge by the very institution that was supposed to protect her. Don't you dare bring Megan into this." Drew didn't hesitate. Her voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Because we both know half the stories about her treatment were exaggerated for sympathy, and the other half were outright fabrications. You've been using her as a shield while launching attacks on your own family, and frankly, it's disgusting." That was a step too far. Harry's face drained of color, rage flashing across his features. "You're out of line," he said, his voice trembling with barely restrained fury. "You're talking about my wife, the mother of my children. You have no right to question her pain or her experiences. This interview is over." He turned toward the exit. "Running away again?" "Harry," Drew called after him, "that does seem to be your specialty. Run to California. Run from responsibility. Run from consequences. But you can't outrun the truth forever. And the truth is, you've become everything you claim to hate about the institution you were born into." Harry spun back around, rage and desperation twisting his expression. "You want the truth," He shot back. The truth is I protected that family for years while they threw me and my wife under the bus. The truth is I have recordings, documents, evidence. And if they want to play dirty, I can play dirtier than they ever imagined. The threat hung in the air like poison. Even Drew seemed momentarily taken aback by the venom in his voice. The studio was completely silent now. This had crossed the line from entertainment into something darker, something dangerous. Harry's publicist waved frantically from the sidelines, but Harry no longer cared. Drew recovered quickly, her instincts kicking in as she sensed blood in the water. "So you're admitting it," she pressed. "You're admitting you secretly recorded your family and used those recordings as leverage, that you were building a case against them while pretending to seek reconciliation." It was a trap, but Harry was too enraged to see it. "I'm admitting I protected my family from people who would destroy us to protect their own interests," he snapped. "I learned how to play their game better than they ever did." "Your game?" Drew replied coolly. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been playing a very different one from the beginning. A game where you cast yourself as the victim while systematically destroying everyone who gets in your way." That was the breaking point. Harry's last shred of self-control evaporated. His face flushed, fists clenched at his sides, the transformation complete. The charming, sympathetic figure who had walked onstage was gone, replaced by someone capable of real violence. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, almost a whisper, but more menacing than any shout. "You think you know everything," he said. "You think you can judge me from your perfect little studio. You have no idea what it's like to have your entire life dissected by people who hate you for who you were born to." Drew didn't flinch. If anything, she looked energized. "Oh, spare me the victim routine," she said. "You weren't born into poverty or abuse. You were born into unimaginable privilege. And instead of using it responsibly, you weaponized it against the very people who gave it to you. You turned yourself into a professional victim and destroyed lives in the process. Destroyed lives." Harry shot back, incredulous. "I'm not the one who covered up scandals for decades. I'm not the one who let my wife be torn apart while protecting the real criminals. I'm not the one who chose the institution over the people it was supposed to serve." His hands shook violently now, spittle gathering at the corners of his mouth as his composure fully collapsed. The audience was transfixed, many ignoring security's warnings as they recorded every second. Producers debated cutting to commercial, but ratings were exploding. Television gold versus total catastrophe. Drew reached for another document, this one bearing official letterhead, clearly visible to the cameras. "You want to talk about cover-ups," she said. "Let's talk about the payments you received for exclusive information about your family. Let's talk about the book deal you negotiated while publicly begging for privacy. Let's talk about the streaming contracts you signed while condemning the very industry you were secretly courting." The revelation hit like a nuclear blast. Harry cycled through denial, panic, then a cold, terrifying calm. "Those are confidential business arrangements," he said quietly. "If you obtained those documents, you and your network have committed multiple felonies." "Felonies?" Drew laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Like secretly recording conversations with your grandmother. Like selling private family moments to the highest bidder. Like orchestrating a campaign of character assassination against people who trusted you. You want to talk about felonies, Harry? Let's talk about the real crimes." The mention of his grandmother seemed to trigger something primal. He stepped toward Drew, a threatening intensity in every movement. "Don't you dare bring her into this," he snarled. "She's gone, and she can't defend herself against your lies. But I can defend her memory, and I will not let you dishonor her with your tabloid journalism." Drew stood her ground, matching his intensity. "Dishonor her? You dishonored her every time you sold out your family for money and fame. You dishonored her when you turned her funeral into a photo opportunity. You dishonored her when you used her final years as content for your media empire. Don't lecture me on honoring her memory when you've spent years destroying everything she stood for." The words struck with surgical precision. Harry's last thread of self-control snapped. "You have no right!" he screamed, his voice echoing through the studio. "You have no right to speak about her, about my family, about choices you could never understand. You're nothing but a washed-up child star clinging to relevance by attacking people better than you'll ever be." The personal jab was exactly what Drew had been waiting for. She pounced with predatory satisfaction. "There it is," she said, her voice icy. "The real Harry. Not the victim, not the humanitarian, not the loving husband and father, just another entitled royal who thinks he's better than everyone else and can't handle accountability." Harry's face darkened purple with rage. His breathing was heavy, uneven as he struggled to regain control. "You want to see the real me?" he growled. "Fine. The real me is tired of being attacked by people who won't face their own failures. The real me is done playing nice with people who mistake kindness for weakness. Kindness." Drew's voice dripped with contempt. "Is that what you call publicly humiliating your stepmother? Suggesting your father is unfit? Exploiting your children's privacy for content? That's not kindness, Harry. That's cruelty cloaked as victimhood." The studio fell into a tense silence, broken only by Harry's labored breaths and the faint whir of cameras capturing every second. His security team debated intervening, but Harry waved them off, both dismissive and desperate. "I'm done," he said, finally, voice low but seething. "I'm done with this circus. Done with your lies. Don't pretending people like you deserve respect. You want a villain. Congratulations, you've created one." He turned toward the exit. "Running away again. Harry," Drew called after him. "That's your specialty. Run to another country, another interview, another chance to play the victim. But you can't run from the truth forever." Harry froze, shoulders rigid. For a moment, it seemed he might turn and continue the fight. Instead, he spoke without looking back. "The truth. I was trying to protect my family from people exactly like you. I believed in redemption and reconciliation until I realized some people are beyond saving. I'm done trying to be better than the institution that created me." With that, he stormed off the stage, his security scrambling to keep up. The studio audience sat in stunned silence, many still recording as Drew watched him go. A mixture of satisfaction and something that might have been regret in her eyes. "Well," Drew said to the cameras, her voice calm and composed, "I think that tells us everything we need to know about the real Prince Harry. Sometimes the mask slips, and we see who someone really is beneath all the carefully crafted PR and victim narratives." She turned to the audience, professionalism fully restored. "We'll be right back after these messages. When we return, child psychologist Dr. Sarah Chun will discuss the impact of public family conflicts on children. You won't want to miss it." As the show cut to commercial, chaos erupted. Audience members whispered excitedly, crew made frantic calls, and Drew's team scrambled to prepare for the inevitable media firestorm. The confrontation was over, but its impact would be felt for years. The interview meant to rehabilitate Prince Harry's image had instead exposed him as the very thing he claimed to despise. Everyone in that studio knew they had witnessed television history. Who do you think was right in this argument? Comment below.